light over. Bloody hell, kick the light over. Oh. Hello and welcome to this video. Welcome to my new YouTubing studio. And on this video, I'm going to be mainly discussing I don't know what I'm doing. What's happening over here? Andy's lost it. Have you seen this video? Have you seen what he's doing? Look what he's doing. I think he's lost it. What do you think? Is he thinking there's a pressure of having to do everything properly? What's happened to him? I don't get it. Come and have a look at this. He's gone right off he's gone off his rocker. Look at him. It's like he's talking a foreign language. I can't understand the word he's saying. What's happened to him? I thought when he got this new studio, he'd be going up and, he'd be getting better, but this is terrible. Come and have a look at this. He's gone right off his head. Sitting round with the bricks. I'm surrounded by the bricks. I got bricks and radiators, bricks and radiators, bricks and radiators, surrounded by the bricks. I've got some bricks, a radiator, and I've got some lights. Bricks and radiator, and I've got some lights. I've got a microphone. I'm right in the zone. You can't hear any echo, so it's better, better, better. It's all so much better. It's all really better. It's better, better, better in here, here, here. Nobody can say I'm incompetent now because I've got some bricks and radiators and lights and a microphone. Nobody can say I'm incompetent now because I have bricks, a radiator, some lights, and a microphone. I am now a proper YouTuber. Proper. And you are thinking, I don't even know what you're thinking, you arrogant little git. How can you presume? You can see what he's doing now. He started talking and now he's being arrogant. He's big-headed, that Andy is. He's big-headed. He thinks he's the bee's knees. He thinks he can do whatever he wants and people will just watch it anyway. That's what he thinks. He's arrogant, that bloke is. Did you hear what he said? He's just told me what I was thinking. I tell you what I was thinking. I was thinking he was a twat. So, you may wonder what I'm doing here. Well, my initial idea was, and I'm all prepared for it, I've got my computer here with all my notes. And I thought I'm going to go through some of my popular videos I've done over the years and redo them so that I would have some proper versions. Because now, when somebody goes and revisits the old place with all the bendy shelves in the background and the echoey voice and all that type of stuff, I don't want that to represent me anymore. I want to be represented by this properness, the properness that is surrounding me right now. I want it to be proper. So I came down today. And I was going to I was going to redo the ranking of the Mahavishnu Orchestra, the first video I ever did that kicked this channel off. That'd be a good idea, I thought to myself. And this way I thought I could regurgitate older stuff I've done, and I won't have to keep thinking up of ideas, because I have actually run out of ideas now. That's the problem. I've come here and I've run out of ideas, but it doesn't matter because I could just regurgitate what I've done before. Learning, from the music industry, which I used to work in. Just regurgitate the same thing over and over again. You can do that, can't you? And that's what I was thinking. So I came down here and I switched my lights on. I had a coffee. I had a bacon sandwich. I sat down to do it. And then you know what I was filled with? I was filled with dread. And I was sat here thinking, what am I going to do? I can't get in the zone. You used to be able to get in the zone back in the old garage. You used to get in the zone when you just had a cruddy video camera. Now you got all this proper stuff. I couldn't get in the zone. This is what we in the music industry used to call red light syndrome. I was sat here becoming edgy. And that edginess completely took away any creativity that I had. And I didn't know what to do. I tried to film something, didn't work. And so I sat here waiting for some sort of inspiration to come. And it didn't. So I walked around the room then, looking at my posh room, thinking, I've buggered up here. What am I going to do? It's going to put me off having all this proper stuff around me, and I'm worrying about technology. I'm worrying about whether this actually works, whether the microphone works, or I'll spend an hour doing something brilliant and it'll all be distorted. What had appeared on my shoulder here was the devil of perfection. All right? The devil whispering in this ear here that I should be doing this properly. It should be proper. Now, knowing a little bit about the creative process, which is why I feel through my arrogance that I can come out on here and talk about it, because as well, that arrogance that I have actually covers up another insecurity, an insecurity that I've been having since I moved in here, and that is imposter syndrome. And that is really what I want to talk about on this video for creative people out there. I'm not just on about musicians, about anybody who's trying to do anything. These little devils that appear, imposter syndrome, trying to do things proper, make everything perfect. And it's interesting because I was just talking to someone outside the building as I came in. And we started to chat, and they're a very charismatic, capable, knowledgeable person. But they have anxiety, especially when dealing with people. A lot of people have this, interacting. You could call it sociophobia in a way. And he said he went to a barbecue once, and someone said, can you just look after the meat? So he was looking after the meat. And he did something, and then somebody there said, you can't use those tongs for that. You've got to use a separate tong for that. And at that point, he felt as though he had failed, that he'd made a big mistake. And within a few minutes, he was filled with dread, and he had to leave and hide himself away in the cupboard of shame. We are going to be talking about shame. We are going to be talking about guilt, incompetence, imposter syndrome. All right? Now, I could make this video a lot shorter, and I probably will actually. I'm going to make it shorter and see where we go. So rather than sitting here and explaining what imposter syndrome is, because anybody watching this video who has it is now nodding their head and go, this is me. This is why I can't get anything done. People think I'm lazy. They think I procrastinate, but it's not that. It's the fact that I've got these ideas, but I'm so worried about what people think. Right? And I think, well, why should I be doing this? There's nothing special about me. Okay? Imposter syndrome. I've been having it a lot recently. My YouTube channel is getting more successful. I now have 35,000 subscribers. The views are going up and up and up. There's all people around the world. I've been recognised in shops. I've spent my whole life working in the music industry fighting to try and get some sort of recognition. And really, the most recognition I've had in my life up until now is this YouTube channel. And when that recognition starts to kick in, and you're in a shop and somebody comes up and they go, I love your videos, and people send you comments saying, I love your videos, I think you're great, you're great, you're great. And my reaction to that is, I'm not though. Come on, what the hell's going on? When's the bubble going to burst? When are people going to realise that I'm a charlatan? When are people going to realise that I don't know what I'm doing? Imposter syndrome. It's the thing that will stop creativity. So, knowing what I do about creativity, I thought I've got to break this. I've really got to break this. I am nowhere near competent to do the YouTube here. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to do the camera, I'm trying to do the lights, I'm trying to work out what camera angles work best, how I can get the best out of this room. This is this week's attempt. A few months ago, I tried to elevate the quality of my YouTube, and I got a mic and I got some lights, and I was so incompetent at trying to handle those, rather than just letting it all be natural, right? I did this, and then people start to go, suddenly, you need to get the microphone sorted out because it sounds terrible, and your lighting's terrible, and you don't put your light, then everybody start, and then me trying to make it proper actually had the inverse effect, and I nearly lost it. So I just went, sod it, I'm going back to the old way of doing things, knowing I'm coming here. That is what has been on my mind. This, and I'm being straight with you here. I'm telling it you from the heart. I'm telling you how it affects me. And because these things affect me so much, when I come on here and act all arrogant and pontificate about how creativity should be and how it works and all that sort of stuff, deep inside I'm thinking, who am I to be saying this? You're a failure, Andy. You're a failure. Friends that went out went and sold 1 million records. What have you done? Played on a few prog albums. You keep going on about Robert Plant all the time because that's the biggest thing you've done, right? And now you got this stupid YouTube, and you think, what you're going to do? Turn it into like Rick Beato? You're not Rick Beato. He can hear notes. He puts on the Spotify top 10, doesn't he? And he sat there with his guitar, and he just knows. He doesn't even have to find it. If I was doing it, I'd be going up and down the fretboard, going, what key is this? And is that one? No, I don't think it is now. That's what I'd be like. You shouldn't be doing this. You haven't got the credentials. You haven't got the qualifications. Why should you be doing this? So, I think when I said I wasn't going to explain what imposter syndrome is, I just have, right? So, I decided on this video to take that imposter devil, that little imposter syndrome devil on my shoulder, and look him in the eye and punch him on his horrible red little nose. And as I say that, I'm aware that I've got a red spot on my nose as well. And I tried to get rid of it. Where is it? I can't remember where it is now. It's there, isn't it? I've got a red spot on my nose, right? And I thought, I'm going to do the proper video, and then I'm going to have a red spot on my nose. So I was trying to get rid of it, and I made it worse. It started to bleed, so I've got a red spot on my nose as well. Rick Beato never has a red spot on his nose. These proper YouTubers don't do that. They may have some sort of makeup artist with concealer because they're better than me. They got people running around at them, wiping their bottom when they go to the toilet, dabbing bits of concealer on their red spotty noses. I haven't got that. You shouldn't be here, Andy. I could probably talk about this for about 3 hours. So, I looked that devil in the eye, right? I looked at his little red nose and his pointy devil things on his head, and I thought, I'm going to punch him right in the face. And you know how I did that? I decided to sit down and switch the camera on and just do nonsense, knowing that people will come on here and they will switch it on and think, oh, what is he doing now? What the hell's this? But I needed to do it. I did that for me, not for you. I did it for me. I broke the back of this, right? I broke the back of it. I got all set up, and then I did a terrible thing, right? And then more importantly, I put it out for the world to see. And the world will see it. And they can think what they want to think, but in the end, that's me. That is what I am. This is what is going on. I can't change it. I am who I am. Why do I do this fundamentally? It's not for you. It's not for the greater good of the community or the artistic world out there. I didn't start doing this for money. I did it for a long time before any money started to come in. The reason why I did this is because if I don't do it, I will go insane. I have a machine in my brain that is whirring all the time. It's like a machine that's looking for aesthetic problems all the time. It's grinding away the whole time. I go to bed and it's there. I wake up in the morning, it's there. The machine needs something to bite onto. The horrible gears that grind it need something to interact. And once those gears move, it pulls me forward into the future. I have to do something. So I thought what I would do is sit here and just do the most abstract thing, the worst thing that a YouTuber could do. And out of my mouth came those noises. Oh, they were awful, weren't they? Awful noises. And as I was doing it, if you go back and watch it again, at some point I said the word incompetence. And then as soon as that happened, the light bulb went on. And I knew that that was what this video was about. And this video was about incompetence and imposter syndrome before I started it. Right? But I did not know it was about that. I am trying to tease out in front of you what this video is about. So not only are you hearing me talk, but you are seeing the realization, and it's not a realization, the revelation of how this world works. Because we are machines in this world. We are part of this world. Right? We can't really see the join between the internal and the external. We create these structures that do that for us. But in reality, we are trapped in this existence and you can't fight it. So what you have to do is you have to be the machine in the landscape, the machine in the environment. You have to accept that you're a part of it and you have to do. Creative people must do. And sometimes the only way to reveal something which is beyond you and it's beyond me is just to start and see what happens. And then you have to have the realization that you do not know. Creative people do not really know what they're doing. Right? They might not know what they're doing from their point of view, internally looking out. But the whole reason why they're doing it is because they're trying to communicate something to someone else. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to communicate the inner. They're trying to communicate their feelings. Art deals with feelings. And to deal with feelings, you have to become entirely subjective. You have to go in and the subjectivity has to move to a place where you are existing in the world at that moment. Right? If you are a writer or a storyteller, you start talking and you see what comes out. Okay? You can edit. We can all edit later on. We can all go through and go, I didn't think that was very good. I did think that was good. I'll keep that. But as I have gone through life, I've realized that I do not know what is good. A lot of creative projects are made communally. People work together, especially nowadays. Art has changed. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of that now. And of course, I haven't prepared this. I may make mistakes. I may say that something that is wrong. The pedantic viewers of this channel will then put in the comments where I went wrong. And I like that because what it does is it creates a community. And people are watching the videos and start to understand what I'm doing. They're like, Andy's making this up. He's saying whatever he's saying. He's going into areas that he doesn't know where he's going to. And he's trying to use his experience to explain what's going on. But to do that, you have to have the eyes of a child. You have to open your eyes and just experience and let whatever comes out come out. If you say something wrong, the way I see it is if people start reading the comments, my videos live on in the comments, which is why I am so keen to get into those comments and answer them. And sometimes I'll do it in a funny way. Sometimes I get annoyed and I might say a few snotty comments back. Sometimes I agree. If there's a heart on the comment, it means I've read it. And the people who put the extra information in acts as an extra resource for people who are watching the video. So now I'm accessing the community out there, making communal art. Now, I have worked for many years in the realm of community art. And if you go onto my Bandcamp, and the link's down below, you will see there is an album of my community art. I'm about to do a plug now. If you go to my Bandcamp, you will find an album called All Art is Community Art. And you can listen to the work I've done with mainly young people in the community. Okay? And that will give you an idea of what I did before I came on this channel. And the reason why I called that album All Art is Community Art is because all art is community art. Okay? But there is a leftover from modernism where we don't quite think of art as being that. Okay? Now, a lot of our art in Western culture came out of Christianity, came out of the religion of our culture. And if you go around the world, most art forms are actually embedded into the religion or the belief system of that culture. And a lot of those arts would be linked to an almost shamanistic process where people will be trying to access something and reveal something that actually exists in the world. So if we look at classical music and we go up to one of the great geniuses of it, one of the early geniuses of it, which would be Bach. Bach didn't believe that he was composing them. He believed that he was revealing a composition. A lot of the Renaissance sculpture is seen like this, that people believe that sculptors believe that they were revealing something that actually existed in the rock. Now, this is an alien concept to us. But if you listen to something like Indian classical music, the technical process that they go through, and it's very technical music to play, that process is there so that you can reveal what exists in the world. And that beauty that you reveal in Indian classical music is not your beauty, it's not of you, and it's not about you. It's a beauty that exists already, that you are revealing through a certain process. And there is no actual ego, or there shouldn't be any actual ego attached to what you have revealed. Bach was exactly the same. The Renaissance kicks off with that idea in Western art. But then this idea of the individual emerges, right? And this is the shift away from Christianity. And a unique thing about Christianity is Christianity actually puts a focus on the individual. It puts a focus on you or me, and we have free will. We are free agents in the world to do what we do, and we need to make the right choices. So that was actually embedded in our culture. But throughout the Renaissance, we can see early Renaissance art does not have the showiness of later Renaissance art. That art started to create the idea of the celebrity. These are the Michelangelos, these are the Leonardo da Vinci's. And there's a shift where rather than appreciating, like we would say if we went to indigenous African music and we were listening to that, we would not associate that with a certain individual. We would associate it with the culture and that it represents things about that culture. And we still retain that way of seeing or hearing art. But this idea emerged in Western culture, and with the advent of, science and then industrialization, we start to see the art as being the expression of the individual. And we start to use words like genius. This person was a genius. It was their vision of the world. By the time we get to the Victorian era, by the time we enter the sort of era of modernism, which is at the beginning of the 20th century, we have a very strict system where you have a very prescribed way of doing things. With art you had the Royal Academy. With music you had the classical music training and the things you went through and the system that you had to understand to reveal the genius of the composer. That there is one person at the centre of this. Now, when I was at college, I did my dissertation in French New Wave film. And French New Wave film was very interesting because those French directors like Truffaut and Jean-Luc Godard and Claude Chabrol, they were big fans of the genre movies of Hollywood. Now, the genre movies of Hollywood are an expression of the Hollywood system. There's a community there creating a film. The scriptwriters, the actors, the lighting, the photographers, the directors, the producers, they're all involved in creating this. And they create a film within a genre, and a genre is a set of tropes that we understand. And the genre transmits information to us so that stories can be told quickly and efficiently because some of the information is already in. So when you have the cowboy town, and you got the sheriff, and he comes out and he says hello, 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 and then they're all doing that walk around, and you go, he's the sheriff, and he's in this thing, he's the good guy, and then into the main street, or whatever they call it in America, we call it High Street here. Into the High Street walks the bloke with the black suit on and the black hat, right? And he walks down the road, and we know he's the bad guy. By the time we get to 1960s and postmodernism starts to kick in, we have the antithesis of John Wayne. We have Clint Eastwood, the man with no name. Now, I can remember watching for a few dollars more, and I was watching it with one of my daughters when she was quite young. She was only about 6 or 7, and she was watching it with me with some interest. And then she turned around to me and she said, "You know that man there?" And she said to Clint Eastwood, the man with no name. And she said, "We don't know if he's the good guy or the bad guy." That shift that happens in the 1960s away from modernism is an attempt to question the absolute truth of the idea that the genius is the person behind it. And we have to understand what they're trying to do. And a lot of the postmodernist ideas that's influenced our culture now is this idea that, where is truth? What's it about? This artist is a product of their culture. They are just doing things that other artists have done before. It's just, there is no actual author. Now, this is quite interesting because going back to the French New Wave filmmakers like Truffaut and that lot, when they looked at these genre films, they noticed something. They noticed that a John Ford genre film had a bunch of ideas that weren't coming from the genre. The genre had been affected by the director, and they started to believe that the director, or as they called the author or auteur, that was the person behind the genius of this film. It wasn't anybody else. It's the vision of the director. And they looked at people like Hitchcock and John Ford, and they said that's what they're doing, and these are the things that they're concerned with. And that argument was very strong, and because I did my dissertation, it influenced me a lot. But at the same time, the postmodernists were discussing the death of the author, that what all people were doing was regurgitating what had happened before. You could see by the 1960s that these things are fighting against each other, and we now culturally have both of those ideas at the same time. And that can actually be quite destructive. I think in the 1960s it worked as a cleanser. It came in and kicked everything up, and it created great art. But these things have atrophied now. And so we're in a situation where if you're a creative person, you'll be working subconsciously from the story that you are the creator. And if you have self-loathing and you're aware of your bad points, that when you reveal the truth of who you are, everyone will see through you. And so you have to look not at the art itself, but by the method by which the art is created. That is often called the technique, right? The skill. The skills that people acquire, like we said in the early days, that people were training in classical music or in St. Gregorian chant. They were trained in a certain thing to reveal the nature of God. But now, I think culturally, we see those skills as being the art. Right? We have been hypnotized by the surface. We don't ask ourselves the question, but why? We ask the question, how? But at the same time, we have the postmodernist idea that the author has no intention, and their intention isn't important whatsoever. That you bring yourself to the piece of art, and if you find a truth in it, that is your truth. It's the phenomenological idea of truth. right? That you have your own subjective truth. So if a writer writes a story with the intention of making a point, but then you read that story and you actually see the complete contradictory point, that your viewpoint is valid. If you go back to the modernist era, that would not be the case. If someone was going, oh, I really like that painting and it really gives me this feeling, someone would have turned around and, yes, but that's not what the artist intended. There's a brilliant scene in the film The Red Shoes where the composer has to I think write a piece of music that is going to be played in a scene that's set in a ballroom, I think. And as he's composing it, he turns around and he goes, when people hear this music, they will be able to see the ballroom. They will be able to see the people in it, because his intention and his greatness as an artist is that he will be able to show through his brilliance what he intends. His intention is paramount. He is the god of his art. Right, and that obviously is against this idea that we now have in our culture that we bring something to the art form. Now, I believe that we need to go back to a concept now of the idea of revelation, and especially when we're living in a technological age where we have used technology to be able to mimic what was once done by skill. So if you're a painter and you're painting artworks for churches, people are travelling from those churches. They never see artwork. They never see anything of creative, really. They're sat in their little hut or whatever. They're tending the land. And on a Sunday, they walk into the church. And the church wants you to walk into this place, be pulled in by the architecture, dazzled by the colours of the stained glass windows, because you're now seeing colour which you don't normally see in normal life. You're seeing patterns on the floor when the sun comes in that you will never see, psychedelic reds, blues and greens. It's a right trippy experience for somebody who hasn't seen that before, and that's dazzling. That's pure hedonism. It's pure delight in the world, and you are drawn into the centre of a cross, and as you stand there you look up and you see the depiction of the crucifixion, and the church wants you to realise that Jesus Christ died on the cross to absolve you of your sins. And they needed, in that environment, to show the suffering of Jesus Christ. So painting, which had been quite illustrative, was just trying to say this is a person, this is a house, and not worried about whether it was like photographically accurate, because that idea of being photorealistic wasn't there. That was, you were making a piece of art that was depicting something like words. But now you want people to really see the suffering. And so what artists did in Western cultures, they invented perspective. And that painting on the wall became a window that you were looking into. A window so realistic that you go, oh my God, I am looking through a window at Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ on the point of death before the resurrection. And I can see his suffering. I can see the strain in the muscles. I can see the weight on the cross. I can see where the thorns and the blood coming down. I can see every sinew. I can see the expression on his face. And all this required a great deal of skill. Artists started to get cadavers, dead bodies, and they would, what's the word when you I can't remember, do like a post-mortem on them. It's not that. Anyway, they would basically see how the muscles work, how the tendons work. They would study the anatomy. They would create these boxes where you could basically put paper down and then work out perspective. They worked out the rules of perspective, 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective. I went to art college. We were taught this. All these, and I've just used that the skill required to show the suffering of Jesus Christ on the cross, then the market value of artists that could do that became very important. Artists who could do that then set them up with skills, and people join those schools. I meant to say schools, not skills. People would join those schools and they would be trained up, and if they were good enough, they might get to paint a foot on one of those paintings. This is where the idea of the art school comes. It's all about teaching the skills to reveal the suffering of Jesus Christ on the cross. You know, when singers were singing those harmonies, you know, in that early choral music that you would also hear in the church, they wanted to hear certain notes together. They wanted to hear the winding that would reveal the beauty of God's creation. You know, because music acts different to paintings, but that's another video. And so training was required there, you know, to stand up with a piece of paper in front of you as a singer and look at some scratchy, you know, marks on a paper and be able to know what to sing and sing it with the person next to you for it to be harmonious. That it requires great skill. If we fast forward now to the 20th century and now the 21st century, we can see that technology has been applied continually to make things more realistic. If we look at art, we suddenly see photography is invented, and photography is seen as being far more realistic. It brings in a new idea of realism. Now, of course, a photograph is exactly what a painting is. It's marks on a piece of paper. That what you were looking at is not there. It's the same as a painting, but a camera was able to do better in that respect than the artist. And you can see that to this day. If you think these things are not there, you know, if you go onto Facebook or Instagram and you see an artist, you will see people presenting work, and it's usually Morgan Freeman for some reason. I think because he's got a pockmarked face, and we can marvel at the realism of Morgan Freeman's pockmarked face. And on that, we see the same, not the suffering of Morgan Freeman, but the reality of his being. It's personified in pencil on a page, and we go, oh my God. That's incredible. Did an artist do that? That's amazing that they could do that. And if you then said, yeah, but it's actually a photograph. Oh, is it? So what it's about no longer matters. And we haven't shaken that off. We have just combined it with this postmodernist idea that art doesn't mean anything and you bring the meaning to the art. Can you see the awful contradiction? So when you sit down to create, and I'm on about creating anything, it might just be decorating your living room, or you're writing a book, you know, or you're just moving stuff around to make your bedroom a bit neater. You, right, as you do it, will feel that devil emerge. And inside that devil is something that can't be solved. Because you know that whatever you do does not matter, because the art won't be judged in that way anymore. What does it matter? There's so many people out there doing this. They're all doing stuff. Why should anyone be interested in mine? You know, what have I got to say? When people start talking like that, they are embodying the contradiction between these two things. So what is the solution to this? Well, what I believe the solution to this is, and I've said it over and over on this channel, and you might want to know why I say it over and over on this channel, because I want to come at it at a million different aspects. Because the way YouTube works is YouTube, you have a thumbnail and you have a title, and on this title I will probably put something like Imposter Syndrome, and that is a line in for a certain person. I've got imposter syndrome. And then when they watch it, then they have to deal with the narrative of this video, which started off entirely stupid but has merged into something which I think is worthwhile. I am talking fluently. The ideas are coming. I am on surfing the wave of this revelation, and I do not know what's going to come out of my mouth, but I'm just letting it happen, and I know that I am in the flow. If I keep thinking about the flow, I will start to stutter. It's very difficult to actually sit here and do this and be able to be at one with your thoughts and follow the thoughts through to try and get an aesthetic viewpoint on this. Videos like this work aesthetically. I could have written this down as bullet points. I could have talked like this, found out what I wanted to say, and then written it down as bullet points. But you're watching what's going on, and you're watching the context of it. You're watching the fact that I'm in my new studio, and you can hopefully relate to the situation that is going on here. All right. Now, the artifice of this, and this is the climax of the video. what I'm going to do now, I ain't going to switch the mic off because I don't know how to do that. You just won't hear anything. But I'm going to go and switch the lights off now and see what the difference is. And I want you to think about what the difference is and why this is so important. And why have I found it so important to do this? Let's go switch the lights off. These are the things. Light is a very powerful thing. Light illuminates. But you know what I said about the stained glass window? It can also dazzle. It can make me appear godlike. It can make me appear that I'm actually slightly otherworldly. That I am not like you. And I'm not like you because I've got a posh YouTube studio and I've got some lights and I've got a microphone. But this is what it looks like without the lights. Functionally, is there any difference? And am I doing this not to educate you or tell you? You have to understand, look at me, and this is the key thing about this video. This is the thing I think I haven't said. I'm doing this for me. I'm trying to work out how to deal in this art form, which is the YouTube video. Right? The YouTube video is a particular art form, and I've done it enough now, and the only way you're going to learn how to be creative yourself is to do it. I've done so many YouTube videos. I've been put in this situation. I am not a genius. I haven't got anything to say, but I have done a lot of YouTube videos. And the reason is because God or the world or the great oneness or the conjunction of everything has contrived for me to be here doing this. Now I'm going to finish up talking about my lights. Okay? The lights that are before you, that I have got for my YouTube. I'm in this great big disused factory that has been taken on by a charity to facilitate the creation of art and community stuff and well-being workshops and all this stuff. It's a brilliant idea. I've known the guys who are doing it and I'm 100% behind it. And they have let me come in here because they think what I'm doing is worthwhile. And then when they tell me that, I get imposter syndrome. But on the other side of that, I know that I can come here and reach a certain amount of people, and I can say that I feel that this is a completely new way of approaching creativity. And if I can try and do something here where people in this area can find out about this, and I just want in the future, once we're up and going, that people know about this place and I'm here and they want to come down. They might have to just walk 5 minutes up the road or drive 2 hours. They message me and they can come and sit in here, and I have the funding to sit with people and chat with them about their art, that they don't have to charge. I'd have to charge them for it. This is my dream. And if that could be a process, that if we recognise, or the powers that be, or the culture, or the community recognise a real interesting creative soul, and there's millions out there, that we will be able to help them. How much we can help them, I don't know. In some cases, I would like to be able to say, oh, you're a painter, do you want to put let's put a gallery show and offer them one of the rooms here to put a gallery show on, and then have a community that will know that that's going on. Then people know that, because the listeners and the viewers are so important, and this is what music education or arts education has forgotten. We need to develop them as well. They're hungry for something great. And so if you feel that this is a worthwhile thing, and I'm going to be trying to communicate it on here, down below is a link to the Jellyman's Heritage Arts Charity. And on a Sunday, I will always be pushing it and hoping that some of you will drop a little bit of money in that, or even become a long-term sponsor to try and get this off the ground. Okay? And hopefully, if what I'm saying seems like worthwhile, hopefully I can be an influence for good. But that has to be balanced by the fact that I know nothing. And the only way that we can get to that point is by trying our hardest to run with the flow of existence, to not fight against that stream because you can't. Since I've had this idea, a number of things have happened which are very strange. And I know I'm onto something. So when I moved in, I knew I was going to have to get lights. I'm making money out of YouTube, but nowhere near enough to go and spend a lot of money on professional lights. But we're sat, as I said, in this great big disused factory. And I went looking through all the detritus and stuff that's been cast away and thrown. And I found 3 professional working lights. Almost like they had been placed there for me to do what I'm trying to do, but with the awareness that I don't know what I'm trying to do. And that should give us all a little bit of hope. So if you feel creatively unfulfilled, it could be because you are fighting against the stream. And the way you will be fighting against the stream will be by trying to do things properly. And so you need to start to do stuff improperly and punch that devil on the nose. And I think I'm at the end of my video. If you enjoyed this Philosophy Sunday video, please put a like on it. If you want to see more of this stuff, please subscribe. If you're watching this and you haven't done those 2 things, please do it, because it will really help my channel. And hopefully you realise that I am not here just for self-promotion. I'm trying to do something here. And I think that's what's a little bit different about my music YouTube. I will do the Mahavishnu album ranking, and I am going to revisit some of my popular videos. And when I go back to them, I will not be saying the same things again. I may even contradict myself. Somebody put a comment on a video the other day saying, I did a video on Marillion and I said I didn't like them or something. I can't remember. And they said, so you've changed your mind. As though this was a terrible thing. As though I'm supposed to be, existing here with all knowledge. I haven't got all knowledge. I'm just talking. And if somebody says, well, what's the point in watching you if you're just talking crap? 1 minute you're saying something, then you're contradicting yourself. Why? Why is that of worth? Think about it. I ain't going to tell you. Think about the nature of YouTube. Think how it works. Right? Think about having 800 videos and you can delve into them and you can see me changing my opinion. As long as I explain why I've changed my opinion, the real truth in that may be revealed. Anyway, if you want to help me doing this, then what you got to do is stick a like and a subscribe. If you really want to get involved with this and support what I'm doing here, you can become a patron, and the link's down below. I'm going to be running a lot of events. Local patrons are welcome to come down here, and we are going to be doing some social things. I've got my stereo here. It's very exciting. I'm going to have musicians. I've got a big announcement who is coming down to inaugurate this lovely room that I'm in. But that's another thing. That's all in the future. If you want to donate in another way because you enjoyed the video, if you want to put a little bit of money in my PayPal tip jar, that is really great. The powers that be have given me a few weeks here without having to pay anything, but I will have to pay something, and this could unbalance what I'm doing here, because if I can't quite make it, then I'm back out in the garage. Oh, can you imagine this if I end back? I tell you, that's the other fear, you see. 800 videos of me in my garage and then a few in my bedroom, but mainly in the garage. And now I'm in here, and I'm thinking, well, who wants to watch the garage videos? It's a funny thing. It's a funny thing, creativity. And every single doubt you have is all about properness. Everyone. So, if you are a creative person, what do you need to do? You need to do whatever is in there subconsciously. You have to access it. Just do whatever you want. If you're a songwriter, get some chords, write a song in 5 minutes, just acoustic guitar and vocal, record it, and then put it out there and see what the reaction is. And if the reaction is good, you will be baffled and bamboozled. And you will say to yourself, why did they like that? And in realizing the thing they liked about it, which will be fundamentally you, and not you because you're a genius, but you because you're a normal person in the world that is expressing something. And in that, you become the author of it, because the author is you. And that can't be changed. But also, you'll be embracing the idea of the viewer and the viewed. And you'll be embracing the idea that the postmodernist idea that the viewer brings something to it. And then the sort of modernist idea that you are the authority on it, which is where the author comes from, the idea that you're an authority. By pulling those two things together, we may get to another way of thinking about the arts, which would be, and I will finish up with it and I will try and explain it, which will be me trying to explain everything I've just said in this video in just a few sentences. It will you being a natural resource in existence and expressing your you-ness, which will then have aspects that will be recognized by other people and will create a community of truth, of artistic truth, which is actually beauty. And it will bring people together, and it will combine the two aspects that are always there, the aspect of perfectionism and the aspect of hedonism. Those things will be pulled together, and for a moment when they see that, they will experience the sublime, something which we as human beings have great difficulty accessing. And when we do, it creates a balance, and that balance makes the world go round. Thanks for watching this video. I'm done. I'll see you on the next one. I'm going to go and walk around and switch my camera off because I'm not editing this. That was the other thing. I'm not going to edit it. It's just I've filmed it. It goes straight up. That was the plan. All right then. I'm going to go switch it off.